So Suzanne, appreciate it. You've built Innovate, it's done over 5 billion in total sales, and you have multiple companies now sitting underneath the ecosystem. And the cool thing about your story is like you worked at Zillow, so you worked with thousands of agents and you saw how they built and scaled. How did that impact what you decided to build at Innovate?
Yeah, it's a good question. I had a really unique perspective and insight into what real estate agents were doing and kind of like what they should and shouldn't be doing because you're on the outside, So I was focused more on the marketing piece of it, but the more I was immersed in the business, I saw what works and what doesn't work. And so, when I made the move to decide to jump into real estate, I basically hit a point where I was like, I'm literally coaching real estate agents how to be successful, how to build a business. And there was a little bit of that imposter syndrome in there where I'm like, I need to just do this. Like, how do I tell you to do it if I couldn't do it?
Yeah.
So I hit the point where I was like, all right, I'm going to go do it. And yeah, it was, I think it was one of the main pieces to my success when I first started in real estate was really understanding the other side of the business, which is the marketing side that I think, a lot of agents don't realize is, really what feeds your business.
Yep.
And so having that knowledge and then, kind of a peek into what agents do that make them great, really gave me the upper hand in the industry.
Yeah. And your story around like you left the number one team and started Innovate, and within I think it was 5-6 months, you had roughly 100 agents or something?
Yeah. So basically, the way it all went down is that I partnered with another broker, and we had kind of built up this top team. And we both just hit a point where we were going in different directions. I think I am more agent centric, where I really wanted to feed my agents and help them be successful. It's more my personality to be, I hate to say, but I am a giver. I love seeing people grow. Those are the things that motivate me, is when other people are successful and thriving in real estate. So almost sometimes to a fault, I really want to see them do well. Versus, my partner at the time was really focused on maybe building his own team and just having a small team. So I made the tough decision to, go another direction. But also it gave me the freedom to run the business the way I wanted to and really create what I felt was necessary in the real estate space that was really lacking. And so, I had built that previous company from 25 agents to around 200. So most of those agents came with me when I started the new business. And it was almost like when I started, there were 25 agents, and when I left, there were 25 agents. So, it was good. It said a lot about, what I was building and what the culture that I was creating as well. And so I was really, really grateful to have that support. And now here we are a few years later, and growing organically as well in the space. So yeah.
Because you have a quote, your focus is not to make you the superstar, it's to make the agent the superstar. And you can kind of see it in the divide of transactions. The team's done 7,000 or 8,000 and you've done several hundred. And that kind of really shows in what you're providing them. And I'm curious, when you made that jump, you had 100 agents. I imagine you probably had to think through, I have to support them now.
Yeah. It was a lot of pressure, definitely. And, one thing that I've always been really big on, because I came from the marketing world, is, providing opportunities to agents. So that's always been kind of what I feel. I don't need, like you said, I don't need to be the rock star. Like, I don't need the shining lights. And again, sometimes that is to my detriment because I don't like to brag. I don't like to talk about what we've done. Sometimes I tell people that we were the number one team in California in 2021, and they're like, "Wait, what? Who are you?" Because that doesn't come natural to me, and I really want the agents to shine. So even now, it's like we work with, we came out yesterday in The Real Deal. They wrote an article about us. We get opportunities all the time where we're talking to media, and I want to give those opportunities to my agents. I want them to grow and to build their businesses. It's about them. It's not about me.
Yeah. So it's like for any like team leader or broker, like the first thing is the client acquisition. Then the other side, what really matters at the brokerage side is talent acquisition. But in order to kind of fuel them, it's bringing the leads and the clients. So how do you think of that when you're like, okay, we need to be doing this for marketing or doing this so that we can just keep the agents happy on that side?
Yeah. So it's kind of a fine balance because I have been in a situation where I've just provided agents with a ton of leads, and then I don't want to say they get spoiled, but there's an expectation there, and they kind of stop working on their own business at that point and are solely reliant on you. So I think it's very different than a team lead because I'm not a team lead. I'm the broker. I'm trying to build the brokerage and grow it and expand it. And so sometimes we've had issues with that where people kind of look to me as their team lead and want me to solely provide them with leads. And that's actually just not my value. My value is I want to build the brokerage, get the brokerage exposure to generate leads and opportunities for the agents, of course. But it is a fine balance there. And one thing that my partner and we always say is we have two customers. So we have our agents and we have our clients. And so when we formed Innovate, that was really the focus. It's not just about one or the other. We are super, super agent centric. And, everyone says like, oh yeah, we do. It's all about the agents. But like, actually you feel it as an agent at Innovate that it's not just about even the Innovate brand. Like we don't care. There's no ego between my partner and I think that's really why we work. Because again, it's not about us. We allow our teams to operate under their own DBA. So, I have a huge team in San Diego, Team Z Realty, and they don't have Innovate anywhere. And, I never cared about that. I care about what's best for their business and how they're going to generate opportunities. So yeah, kind of, balancing and, back to your original question, it really is a fine line of providing too many opportunities to an agent. To where they're really reliant on you, especially as a broker. I think in a team situation, that's a little different. Like you want to do that. So, I've had situations where team leads were the ones kind of relying on us for the opportunities. And we're like, we want to provide opportunities, but we also want the agents to be self-sufficient and generate business themselves as well. Otherwise, we've seen where lead sources dry up, I've seen so many teams that they used to be Zillow Flex. Now they don't have Zillow Flex. They lose all their agents, I want to be in control of my future and not rely on Zillow or Realtor, Opcity, whoever it is. So we put a lot of energy into that.
Yeah, you're big on brand. I want to get into that, but like at the end of the day, the brand works because of the product underneath it and a lot of the things underneath it. Like talked a little earlier, like you have the Escrow, you have the training company, and then you have like the equity and the pool. So looking at that, like how do you even think through like as a broker to be like, okay, we can start this, but then we have to wait to build this. How do you kind of sequence that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's when we first started Innovate, we really thought through. We didn't want to do too much too fast, you know. So that was a huge thing in the back of our mind. Is if we're going to do something, we want to do it well, and we're also really real that there were things that we rolled out that didn't go well, that didn't stick, that didn't work. So we're human, and we kind of learn through that. But as we were thinking through how is Innovate different, right? Like that, I think was the biggest thing where how are we going to be different from all the other brokerages? I mean, we're here in Orange County right now. You walk down the street, like you're going to see 10 different brokerages. Like, yeah. So what makes us different? And it really is the culture and the way we treat our agents and what we can provide. So because, we have some unique partnerships, we're actually able to do things that it's just not possible for other brokerages to do. And so we really kind of built off that. So we call it our InnoSphere. And we've got equity, which you referred to, where a seller may want to fix their home before they sell it, but they don't necessarily have the funds to do that. So because we have a construction company in-house, we're able to facilitate that for them, front the cost, and give the seller the opportunity to make the money off their equity in their home versus an investor, right? But some sellers want to just sell to an investor and be done, and they don't want to live through construction, and definitely understand that too. So we have that option for them to bring them an cash offer. So, just having everything covered for our client, because remember that was, one piece of it. Yep. Yeah, that's very important for us. And really for the client, whatever issue they have, we have a solution for them. Now, the other piece of that is the agent and taking care of the agent. So you talked about pool, where we have a pool of, off-market opportunities that because of our relationship with our sister companies, we know when inventory is coming before it actually hits the market. So it definitely gives our agents an upper hand when they take advantage of, really, I mean, I can tell you 4 projects in this neighborhood that are coming that nobody knows about yet, Yeah. So again, that's also for our clients, but it's also for our agents. So, just creating things like that, in addition to like healthcare, like it's so crazy that agents don't have healthcare. Like, you're kind of at the mercy of the state, or your husband or whoever. So that was, it seems so simple, but it was actually really hard to like put that together.
Benefits.
And yeah. Agents don't usually have like a 401k and things that like could be really helpful for their day-to-day life. So we created an investment fund for them, and, unique things that I think agents work really, really hard, and they deserve all the opportunities in the world. And they also deserve the same perks that everybody else does. And then some. Like agents work 24 hours a day. So yeah.
6 to 7 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just curious, because you say sister companies and partners, is it like a joint venture JV or different mechanical? Yeah,
so each company kind of has a different structure.
Okay.
But we're all under the same umbrella. So we have Center Street Lending. So they've been in business since 2008. They're one of the top private lenders in the country. And I believe they were the first to be FDIC insured. Anyone that does any investments around here, they know the name, and they're a great company. They provide all of the capital to the investors that are doing fix and flips in the market. And then we have Buy House, who does fix and flips in the market. Nice. And we have Honest Escrow, and, like you referred, the training company. So, kind of all of these things in conjunction with Innovate just provide really unique opportunities for the agents.
Yeah. Something I like overheard talking to is like with other brokers, especially in Southern California, is like a lot of them go to escrow, then lending, but title's kind of one of the hardest ones.
It is.
And that's like kind of gets pushed a little down the road because it's not always worth it to start.
Yeah. Yeah, title's really expensive to start.
Okay.
So I think, that's one that you definitely, it is, from what I've heard, very lucrative to get into it, but you're also taking on a lot of liability there.
Yeah, a lot of
So it's
risk.
expensive to
Okay.
get it going. Yeah.
That's just my curiosity. and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
also you have the thesis, which is pretty common. It's like the industry doesn't have the best training and standards, and that's why you've built like the training product. And in that, you've have over 100 plus like training videos. Like, how did you even go about building that?
Yeah. It's honestly, I mean, when I first came into the industry and I was thinking, I've got this. I've trained all these agents. I've got this down. And I came into the space and I was like, oh, well, I don't know how to do a transaction, let alone do it well. And I think one of the faults of or pain points in the industry are that there's really not unified training after you get your license. And really getting your license, I mean, the things that are on that test, it's like barely
It's
related to like what the actual day-to-day of real
More like
estate is.
legal stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So there's not like a standard across the board. So I'm really passionate about this because number one, I feel that agents get a really bad rap. I blame like movies and media and and sometimes you do come across agents that don't necessarily know what they're doing, but a lot of times it's just because there is no formal continuation training. So I'm really passionate about agents work really hard. They're really smart. They deal with multiple personalities in a transaction. Like what a real estate agent does is so underrated and kind of brushed off, like compared to a used car salesman a lot, like things like that,
Yeah.
where I'm really passionate that an agent's job is really, really difficult and they deserve that credit. And so I really want to elevate the industry as a whole. That's a goal for me. But going back to when I got into real estate and realized I actually know nothing about doing a transaction, that really changed my perspective of how the industry works. Because either you join a team and learn from this team lead, or you operate as a solo agent and you fail. Like that, it is literally one or the other. Or maybe you join like a brokerage that does really, really intensive training, but then you're giving up a huge split for that. So what I've seen happen in the industry over and over again is, and it happened to me, is an agent will join a team knowing that, they're not going to stay on this team. They're going to operate as a solo agent. Like I didn't want to be on a team, but I knew that I needed a mentor that would teach me the ropes of real estate,
how to build it.
And so I was really lucky to link up with someone that kind of took me under their wing and showed me everything. But most agents, they have to join a team and then they are breaking hearts because as soon as they learn how to do real estate, they're leaving that team.
Move.
So that model to me is broken, it's really broken. And it feels like there has to be a better way. It's one thing if you're joining a team for accountability, training, opportunities. Like I get it. You should find a team. But if you are literally joining a team, knowing that you're probably going to go start your own team at some point, when you have that entrepreneurial spirit,
Yeah.
So if you're joining a team for that, like that is the wrong reason. And the team lead, I mean, I've seen so many where like it's heartbreaking, you're investing everything into someone and then they take it, they learn it and they leave. So to me, the system's broken a little bit. And so I wanted to create something that just gave agents another option The thing is, though, as a new agent, when you're entering the space, you often don't know this, you know, like you don't know what you
what's
don't
going
know
on with the industry.
Yeah. So it's really important to get the message out there and for team leads to embrace that, because I think a lot of times, you know, they're thinking like, oh, we just want to get people on our team. Like we need more bodies, especially if you're with an EXP or a Real or something like that, where you just want anyone because you're going to make money off of them. But really, you're investing your time, and there's something to that, you know. So yeah, it definitely causes a lot of drama, unnecessary drama, which again, I'm really against in the industry.
Yeah, I was trying to look for the quotes. Like, if you think real estate is like TV shows, you should leave your heels at home. Some variation of that. I'm like paraphrasing.
Yeah. It's just not. It's not what you see on TV for sure. And you know, the selling sunsets of the world don't help like what actual real estate is. But you know, I think you should know. Agents know, like that's TV, that's drama, that's a show. You know, but I think the real world out there, it's like, no. We're not always walking into crazy, you know, $10 million homes. I actually have one down the street here that's close to 10 million. That's great. But I also have one in Tahunga for 300,000, you know, and it's a hoarder house. So it's like we see it all, we do it all. Yeah.
So when you think about like the training and everything that you're trying to build, and you talked about, the model with teams is kind of broken. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you kind of envision? Like, here's what the model should look like. Mm-hmm.
I think there needs to be continuation training, you know? And so Mentoracle solves for that. What I tell team leads is like, you do your thing, but let me take the training off of your plate. Like, why are you, as an experienced team lead, teaching real estate 101 to agents? Because really what Mentoracle is about is just teaching an agent how to be the best possible agent they can be. And I'm, again, very passionate about that because I really want to level up the industry. You know, I feel like there's such a difference between agents, you know, and it really shouldn't be like that. Yeah. You should know as a consumer, okay, marketing tactics are different, but at least you know when you're hiring an agent, like they know what to do. But oftentimes people get their real estate license and they're like, hey, mom, I can sell your house now. And then it's a mess, you know? So really for me, I think team leads kind of embracing that, like we can help in that situation where we're actually providing the training that really the team lead doesn't need to be doing or have time to do. You know, let them focus on the business, generating leads.
That's the hardest thing, is like taking a step back as a team lead to be like, okay, let me build the systems, let me make the training, and the videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's really plug and play for them, where they can take advantage of that. But it comes down to knowledge and training, and you know, the more agents I see, and like that's a really big thing at Innovate too, where we have a mentorship program that goes hand in hand with Mentoracle, where you have hands-on for the basics, you know, because really, I mean, once you teach the agent the ins and outs and you give them the keys, okay, they can do their business and be successful, and then rely on, you know, then they at least know where they want to go with it, you know? If they want to join a team because they see the benefit in the leads that maybe the team is bringing, great, you know, you should do that. But don't join just because you don't know real estate, and then, you know, once you learn it, leave and ruin everyone's lives because of it.
Yeah. So with the mentorship, because there's a lot of ways to do it. Like, for example, outside in some kind of like coaching communities, you can have a framework of like mirror, match, mentee, where it's like you have someone above, like aside with you, and below. In the industry, sometimes you see like they have kind of like a sales manager, sales lead working with them, or and then there's also just like potentially having like an HR coordinator who walks them through onboarding. How do you kind of structure that mentorship? Yeah,
so we put them all through Mentoracle. So obviously they have the resources for all the classes and all the trainings, but it is so important to have a resource. So we have just someone dedicated as the mentor for our agents. So to give you an example, so we ran our previous mentorship program that just concluded. I think we had out of, I think it was 7. So out of 7 agents that were in this mentorship program, it's a 6-month program. And all of them did at least 1 transaction, and the others did 2 or more. So,
So it's like cohort based a little bit.
yeah. So you have someone to go to if you need that assistance. That really is going to take the time to, have a weekly one-on-one with you, to develop a business plan. I think that's the biggest thing, and then hold you accountable to sticking to it. And then, that also really helps us understand, like, hey, should this person maybe be on a team where they need a little more accountability, or do you just give them the direction and they go? So it kind of gives the agent the ability to figure out where they want to go from there and gives them a path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen it at this point. And like, for example, some newer agents who are like starting a team or something, they might just add on 3 to 5 agents out of nowhere and not realize that like each agent takes time and there's a capacity to like what you can actually give.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of think of, okay, you can only actually onboard a certain amount of agents per month.
Yeah. It's funny because we'll actually encourage our teams to put their agents through the mentorship program while they're on the team, so they can get the field experience with the agents. But behind the scenes, they're doing, again, kind of that basics training to ensure that they're successful. Because we have seen agents that everyone feels like that's the natural progression is they're supposed to start a team. And a lot of times it's because the agent is too busy and they're just like, oh, I need help. So they'll start bringing people in. But that's not really a great base for the team and for the model. You have to kind of sit back and think, like, is this something I really want to do? Because there is, as we've kind of touched on, there's a lot of stress on the team lead. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of time that you're investing in people that may never get it, and you may never see a return on your investment. So it's one of those things where you really have to be dedicated to, and committed to wanting to run a team in the first place. Sometimes they happen organically, but for the most part, we've seen where teams have thrived and failed. And so behind the scenes, we want to try and solve for that.
So what have you seen as the right way to like go into building a team?
Yeah. I think the most important thing, first of all, I think the team lead's knowledge needs to be there, because I feel agents get busy or, and they start thinking like, oh, I should have a team, or they see everyone else doing it. And they think that's just the way to go. Whereas, I've had other agents that are like, you know what? I don't want a team. I want a partner. I want someone. So, really step one is identifying what you want for you. Do you want to stay in production? Because I think that's a big piece of it. You're going to, if you're going to stay in production, then you're going to still be in production and still be busy. And then you're going to be helping your agents as well. So I think really identifying what you want as a team lead is really important. And knowing like, okay, I'm going to invest X number of hours into my team. So where can I shave that off, like, of my plate, and how do I handle that? Because oftentimes team leads will get super overwhelmed because they're doing it all, It's
kind of like the saying, sometimes the all-star player isn't meant to be like the coach.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's I see it a lot where, there's a great top producing agent, but, they don't necessarily have that personality to handhold another agent and take them through the process. So again, we're going back to this process where it's kind of broken, the way that agents grow in the industry. It's a little broken. And I think I was really blessed that I had a mentor that did kind of, sit down, hold training classes, break it all down for me. And I know we've got some really great team leads that Innovate, like Xandra in San Diego that does that.
She's actually meeting with her in a month.
Oh, great. Yeah, she's awesome. So, she's sitting there and she's, holding trainings for her team 5 days a week, accountability calls every day, like doing all the things that a team lead does. But, some are not, and just not able to kind of break that barrier, but they're really great agents, So I think, there's again, a disparity there, which then, it doesn't help agents as a whole, right? Like if you were trained by a team lead that didn't give you much attention and just kind of threw you to the wolves, and I was in the classroom with another team lead, we're going to have very different skill sets. So
what do you see the agent who wants to become a team lead that you have to coach them on?
The agent that wants to be a team lead?
Yeah.
I think really helping them understand what it actually looks like and what the time commitment is to that. Because again, it's about the goal setting. If your goal is to get out of production, I think that's very, very different because that doesn't happen right away as a team lead, but it could happen if you put the right steps in place. So I think really understanding with the team lead what their goal is and then identifying what their skill set is. So we've had team leads where, they literally they don't have answers to any questions that, their agent has on their team and they're coming to us, which, it doesn't make that team member feel good. So we're actually really, really careful now about who is a team lead within our brokerage. With my previous partner, it was kind of just open. If you wanted to start a team, you could start a team. But we learned from that because that actually that doesn't make us all better, right? It just kind of causes some poor feelings from the agent that's on the team where their team lead isn't helping them at all, and so we don't want to create that. So we have team lead training on top of agent training because we really want to make sure that everyone's up to par at our company.
And it's important, kind of like you mentioned, knowing are you going to be the rainmaker or are you going to build the team? Because that probably informs how they have to build the organizational structure. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't think of the business as a business and be you have to implement meetings every single week. Yeah.
It's one of the big things that drove me to get into the industry was I saw that. I saw that agents often don't treat their business like a business. They, there are a lot of part-time agents, but they just don't look at it from that lens. I think agents are really interesting because oftentimes they don't have corporate experience, they started because I know a lot of people that started because they had, they knew that some things were going to come up and they could get some easy sales or they wanted part-time work or, something that they could do from home or remote. There's all of these reasons. And it's often not because I want to build a brokerage and scale a business. Yeah. So the mindset is very, very different most of the time for agents in the industry. And so that was one thing that I saw where, I was coaching to that with my clients that I was working with, where I was like, hey, this is your business. We have to measure how you're going to make money in this business. And it's the same thing now. So when you ask about, how do we identify that with a team lead and what do we do with the team lead? The team lead needs to also have a business plan. We require all of our agents to have a business plan, all of our team leads to have a business plan. We do business planning at the end of every year. It's if you don't have that, then you are just winging it and hoping that you're going to make money in the industry. So we're really focused on, again, we can bring opportunities to agents, but if they don't know how to be successful, how many calls they need to make in a day, how many doors they need to knock on, how many flyers they need to send out, and they don't have those measured results, then they really can't scale their business.
If you've been liking everything from this episode, I actually made a completely free download in the description below that goes alongside. It's almost like a workbook, but it goes through actually each platform individually, YouTube, email, social, etc. And it goes into the metrics that matter, what we have proven to actually work from things like we've posted over 4,000 YouTube videos last year, sent over 1,400 newsletters. And it goes into things like what are the buckets that are actually proven to work for content on YouTube? What generates leads? What generates seller leads? What patterns have we seen? And it goes on email. What gets the highest open rate? What gets the most click? And then I go into the trends, the things that you need to stay on top of, as well as the core principles that really matter in the platform. And it's completely free. If you want to work alongside this and have something to kind of take away tactically and implement in your business, download it in the description below. It's completely free, and hopefully it helps you grow.
So do you do like annual planning, and then do you break it down to like, okay, here's the quarterly, monthly, weekly, and then hold them accountable to that? Or
so it's a fine line with holding them accountable, because again, at the end of the day, agents are independent contractors. So we ask them, like, do you want to be held accountable? And then if they do, we will implement that accountability. We did find breaking it down quarterly just feels way more achievable and actually keeps them on track. Versus when we just did a yearly planning session, it's a lot harder. If you blow it in the first quarter and you're like, all right, that's it, that's the end of it. So yeah, we have kind of shifted to doing it quarterly, and not every agent wants accountability, and that's okay. It's for us at Innovate, we're producing agents.
Yeah.
So we are really pushing for like, how can we make sure that you are productive? And I think the biggest difference is we're willing to help. You're not going to go to some of these brokerages around here and sit down with their CEO and they're going to help you business plan. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so that's where, we're a little different. It's about, we have a heavy focus on culture and making agents feel like they matter. I think the biggest thing that we see and we hear when agents come on board is at these other brokerages, they feel like they're just a number, and that no one above really cares, and so with us, it's very, very different. It's actually completely opposite. It's almost like we care too much.
Yeah. It's important because you guys have the tools in place. You have the different businesses. I was curious, because you've seen the lens outside and then you've been inside. Mm-hmm. What are some of those operational things that are probably second nature to you, that when you see like, okay, Xander has meetings every single week, like what are some of those operational things that separate this is a business versus just like an agent?
Yeah. It's systems. I would say that's the number one thing. Like if you have a system and you are sticking to that system, it's calendar, it's, all the things, because I think, if you are waking up every day and you do not know what you're going to do to generate business that day, like there is a huge problem. So, the planning that you do for your business is super important, but the implementation, automation is really important. You don't need to spend $1 bajillion on like all the new bells and whistles and all the things that are coming out all the time. But you should have a CRM for sure.
Yeah.
And you need some sort of consistent follow-up, and you need a business plan. Because again, we for our agents, for example, if we tell them, like, if you are waking up and you're like, what am I going to do today? You don't have any buyers you're working with. You don't have any sellers you're working with. No matter what, we have an in-house buyer. So we have our sister company, Buy House, that fix and flips properties. So they'll put out a cash offer. So spend your entire day, if you need to, finding properties for them. They're ready to buy. So it's things like that. And any agent can do that, but you have to have a plan of what it's going to take for you to be successful. So coming up with that, is super important. So whether it's I'm going to knock on 1,000 doors a day, like 100 doors a day, whatever it is, There has to be something that you're doing to further your business every day. And if you're not, and you don't know where to start or don't know what to do, or you're sitting and waiting for something to happen, you're likely not going to be successful.
Yeah, it's having the system that's like, what is my lead generation and client way of getting clients? I'm curious because we talked a little earlier. You have like, I think you said like 8 offices now. And what does your schedule look like being that leader? And like, how do you think through, okay, here's how I need to like operate my schedule now?
Yeah. So funny you ask, because in the beginning of January, I was like, I want to be at every office every single week. And, the reason why I want to do that is because I want to be in front of my agents. Like again, I'm not the person that needs to be like behind the scenes, closed door in my office, like not communicating with my agents. Like I want to get my hands dirty. I want to be there in the trenches with my agents. And so it's really important to me to be a part of that. As we design all of our offices, I specifically say, like, I want big, open, kind of a co-working feel in each office. I hate offices. Like when we moved into our corporate office in Irvine, my partner was like, oh, do you want this office here? And I was like, I don't want an office. I want to sit with everybody else. Like I want to be there. And that's the culture. But the culture, we will not grow if the culture just revolves around me.
Yeah.
So while yes, I definitely want to be at the offices as much as I possibly can and in front of all of my agents, it's also a thing where we're going to continue to grow and we're going to continue to scale. So that is not feasible. Going to 8 offices every week is not feasible.
Yeah.
And, just creating company events, I think, as much as possible. So for example, in our La Jolla office, we do a happy hour once a month. So everybody knows every month we're going to have, doors open for the neighbors, for everyone else that are coming into the office. And I'm going to be there for sure with the agents, and we're going to have we're going to do a happy hour. We do like different community events. So those events, I think, I plan my schedule around that. And that, kind of does the same thing that I'm trying to do, which is be with my agents and be in front of them.
Yeah, because I'm curious, at a certain point, it's like you have to look at like, where is my time best spent, highest leverage? Is it like recruiting? Is it sales? Is it people? Like, how do you, is there like different buckets that like, okay, I'm really good at partnerships, growth, brand, recruiting, and that's where I'm going to spend most of my time?
Yeah, so you nailed it. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I know that where I shine and what my strength is that I work with people really well. I can read people really well. I work with all different personalities. And so for me, all I need to do is be in front of my people, So recruiting is, yes, it's number one, but it's also retention, and those things go hand in hand. I really feel like, we're not a recruiting brokerage. We do offer like rev share incentives. But for me, it's not about bodies. Like I'm not trying to just get bodies in the door. It's really important that the people that we bring on, because I can't be everywhere all the time, kind of serve our culture as well. And so I want to meet these people, and I feel like I kind of attract those people. Good people bring good people together. Yeah. So as much as I can be doing that, that's where really all of my time should be. Is that where all of my time goes? No. But thankfully, I have an amazing team. Like I can't take credit for even half of what we've built because it's really the people behind me, the team that I have, and the glue that holds everything together. I recognize, and I think this is really important for leaders out there, like know your strengths, put your ego aside and hire around that because I know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at, you know? And my brother told me a really long time ago when we were talking about partnerships, he was like, you never want to bring a partner on that has the same strengths as you. Like it's literally like you want someone that is going to bring something to the table that you can't do, which is why when we were talking earlier about my partner, where it's like, he's this data-driven numbers guy and I'm completely opposite. I'm like about emotions and feelings and people and happiness and, you know, all the other things to make agents happy. But you have to have that balance of both and, you know, supporting yourself with the right people to complement where maybe your weaknesses are.
Yeah, it's like the visionary integrator split.
Yeah.
Having that. How do you balance? Because I don't know if you've seen it. It's like agents, teams, brokers, it's like they know they need to recruit and grow headcount to grow the business, but they also have to balance that with retention. It's like kind of a tug and pull of like, okay, we have to add team, but we also have to make sure that they stay with us as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, it's all about your value and what your value is. And I've seen teams fail. I've seen teams thrive, you know, and I think that the teams that really do well, they have a good balance of both. Xandra in San Diego is a really great example. She'll probably tell you about it. She interviews everyone and she makes sure that they're a good fit for each other, you know, and her mindset is not just, I want to bring anyone on, you know. I think that is where some of these big recruiting brokerages really fail and why they kind of get a bad rap too. Like when we talk about industry, you know, and what people think of real estate agents, like, you know, I won't name names, but it's like these brands have a reputation for having real estate agents that don't know what they're doing because they're just literally trying to get
Recruiting,
anyone. Yeah. So I think having the mindset of, yes, growth, but growth in the right way, you know, we're growing organically because we're doing great things in the industry. So it attracts the right people. But there are people that I don't want at the brokerage, you know, and that I know are not going to serve and further that culture. And I think, you know, the team leads that do well are the ones that also identify that. You know, we do when we're meeting with people, we have them do personality tests, you know. I think that's so important. Like
DISC or
yeah. Like how do you connect with someone and is this a good fit? Because if it's not, we're going back to what we talked about in the beginning, which is heartbreaks all the way around. You know, a team lead doesn't want to have to fire an agent and they don't want to, you know, train up an agent and then have them leave. So let's make sure that this is a good fit because everyone's going to invest a lot of time into it.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen like, that's a big reason why like tech has like 3, 5, 7 steps in the interview process. They have multiple interviews with different people to make sure like, do they pass different culture on the team? Like, what's your process kind of look like a little bit high level? Yeah,
you don't see that a lot in the real estate space. And so that's why we do implement. So there's multiple steps and multiple people that they're going to meet and chat with before I'm even going to talk to them. So, you know, not that they have to like get through it, but I think, you know, my team, so they're going to initially meet with someone that's going to give them kind of the rundown and what we're doing over at Innovate. That person's going to get a feel for them. Then they're going to meet with the manager who's, you know, going to have their 2 cents. And then, you know, after that, then it would potentially come to me. But within there, we have, you know, personality tests and really just try and understand, what is this agent's business plan? Like, do they have a business plan? Are they full time? Are they, you know, 1 foot in, 1 foot out? And, you know, you can be a brand new agent and not have any of that. But if we see that you want it and the effort's there, we want you. You know, we're willing to give it to you, to give you what you need in order to be successful. But if we see that it's like, you know, someone that's not necessarily all in, you can really tell to personality wise. Like if someone comes in and is super negative about even where they're coming from, like, okay, there are valid concerns. But, you know, I think identifying personality type, and really real estate is hard. Like it is, I mean, again, I touched on it in the beginning. It's so underrated with how difficult the actual transaction, let me back up. The actual transaction, not that hard, but dealing with people's personalities, hard, you know, and the work that you have to put in to do business is hard. And so that is already a challenge in itself. It's super important that when you are with a brokerage or with a team or at work, you're not adding more things to that equation that are going to make life difficult. It should be making life easier, not harder. So if your brokerage, if your team, if wherever you are is not bringing you that joy, then that is not the right fit, you know? But it goes the same way in reverse where, you know, if you have someone on your team that's going to be super negative or, you know, Debbie Downer, you know, that's not what we want, you know? We want to grow together and elevate together. And if you have that drive, then we want to work with you.
Yeah, that's smart because it's like if they're coming into the interview complaining about their previous place, it's like that's probably a good indication that they would do the same.
Right.
There.
Yeah, when they leave. Exactly.
So,
yeah.
And you kind of said more on the end of the process, like culture fit, like do you do every single person that kind of comes into the organization, or is it kind of hard at this point to do that?
It's hard. I try. Like I definitely try and meet everyone before, because I do think it's important that, you know, and look, like not everyone has to love Suzanne. Like again, there's no ego here. Like if people want to join my team because they love Johnny, great. Or they love my partner, Paul, fantastic. Like, but, you know, for me, I think if you're a good person, you want to work hard, you have a strong work ethic, and you have ethics in general, you know, I really do trust my team to kind of sniff that out. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I'm curious about the expansion, but you're big on like brand marketing. I'm curious when you're thinking about it now at like a kind of like corporate level, like how do you think through like, okay, we have to build the brand, do the marketing.
Yeah.
What do you think through?
So I will just say I would literally die without my director of marketing, like die. We would not be where we were if it wasn't for him. And I think, but what I will say is instant culture fit, like we just knew that we would all work really well together. But what we've kind of built, again, touching on what we spoke about in the beginning, like I am a big lead generator. I'm all about any online lead source. I'm all about the Zillow leads. I'm any leads, like we will do them. But you need to control your own destiny. I think that that's really, really important. If you are a business that is solely dependent on Zillow, love them or hate them, they do not care about you. Like they care about the number, you know? So it doesn't matter if you've been getting leads from them for 20 years. Like they do not care. If you do not perform, they are no longer going to give you leads. Or maybe something happens in their business and they decide to give them to somebody else. Like that's a thing. So you have to create your brand and your business with the intention that you are going to own your future and own your leads. So for us, we're all about really owning that process. I could literally spend hours on all the things that our director of marketing has created for our team for lead generation. But the one thing I will touch on is we have a program called InnoLaunch, where all of our agents, anytime they have a listing, they get this InnoLaunch package, and they're getting X number of digital ads. We're literally every everywhere.
Okay.
They're getting flyers, they're getting mailers, they're getting all the things.
Like a listing marketing.
All bases covered. Because not only does it help the seller, and all of those metrics are tracked within, our app is called My Inno HQ. So all of it is tracked there for the agents, for the sellers, so they can see everything as well. But then in addition to that, it's for the agents. We're generating leads with all of that as well. And then for us, we're getting Innovate out there and getting the brand out there. So it's like everyone wins there, and we do it for every single listing we have. And then we of course scale, and with our other companies, we're generating leads for each of the products we have, where maybe we're going to back in with a cash offer, and we'll get the cash offer lead, and our agents will get those leads. But we have so many different avenues and unique ways to generate that marketing. And so we put a lot of time into that. But the takeaway is we own it all. We own our own. We have our own, we do our own search engine marketing. We do all of that. And I think that is so, so important.
Yeah, that's what I found interesting is like you came from the Zillow background and recognized, hey, it can be powerful to build the business.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also have to build your brand.
Yeah.
So that you can own that
Yeah.
long term.
Yeah. It's a great supplement for sure. But if you are solely relying on them, or any lead generating company for that matter, if you're not continuing to build that. So, for example, like Zillow did give me leads for a very, very long time, and we still get leads through them. But, are you continuing to work that database? Like, are you creating more leads from those leads? I think those takeaways are really, really important. And a lot of times agents just take that win, they convert that lead, and then that's the end of it. But there's so much more just from that one lead that you can get to, again, kind of own your database there.
Nice. So when you think of like your marketing spend or investment as like a pizza, and you're just very high level percentages, you're like, okay, we're going to invest in like paid for this. We might do like video, like you have a podcast. Like, how do you think through like, okay, here's how we're going to allocate the marketing spend and the marketing budget?
Yeah. So podcasts for me, I think, it's about creating content. I think what we've generated with that is really great for agent recruitment. And so, yes, I mean, we invest time there. We do have an in-house media team. And I think
Nice.
that has really made the biggest difference, because not only do we have an amazing marketing team, but we also have a media team. And I think that if you are trying to scale and grow your business, those two things are everything. So having people like on staff all the time that can facilitate these requests are huge. And then when it comes to lead generation, I think all of that kind of works together with all of the companies. So we do put a significant budget into that. But each piece is very, very different. None more important than the other. I actually think like they're all equally as important and
complement each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's smart to have media team in-house, because when you're doing a lot of listings,
Yeah.
because I've seen teams, they have like, sometimes if they have a videographer or multiple videographers in house, they have like sometimes like a request system, like, hey, we want to use this resource for this. And they have different ways to like allow for that to be used. Yeah.
So we use our My Inno HQ app, where agents can go in and just request what they need. We also, we basically are like their social media assistant. So we have a system for them where they can put in requests, and we will get them local content. I mean, literally create the post for them. Like when I say, when I got into real estate, I had no idea that I was going to have to be behind the camera, doing all the things, social media expert. Like it wasn't like that then. I think it was getting there. But I mean, definitely agents that have been in the industry for 20 plus years, I mean, that's not what they signed up for.
Yeah.
And so Innovate isn't just a name. Like we truly are trying to innovate the space and help the agents do all the things, because it's even getting behind the camera for agents, it's not easy. So having an in-house media team that like comes up with scripts for them, comes up with ideas for them.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it, like anything that our agents need, we're there to support it. And yeah, so they'll create that request through our app, and then within 24 hours they'll have that product.
That's awesome that
Yeah.
they come up with the ideas and the scripts too.
Yeah.
Makes it way easier.
Yeah. And AI has helped a ton kind of, automate and make that go a little bit quicker as well. Like, you can upload as an agent, you can upload 5 photos from your property. And, within a day, we will have a video back to you that, we put together, edit on the back end and send over. That's super cool. Like it's, just, again, creative things that, make our agents' lives easier that, they don't have access to day to day. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you grew to like 8 offices this past year, and
Yeah.
then you're adding potentially another 5 more. How do you think through expansion and like when it's not the right time to also expand?
Yeah, it's about organic growth, for us, it's not about, hey, we want to open an office in Tampa, so like let's open an office there. It's been really thoughtful as far as like, okay, do we have connections there? Do we have agents there? The other piece is our sister company, Center Street Lending, they lend in 40 states. And we are constantly helping them with, they have homes that they have to foreclose on. They don't do it super often, but it happens. I think we have like 14 coming that Innovate's going to be listing for them. And we have those, in other states as well. So we do kind of think about that aspect of, growing with them where
Following the
they
money.
are
Yeah.
and making that make sense. But really, it's about where it makes sense, where we have agents, where we have connections, where we have listings, where we have opportunities. Because again, I think oftentimes ego gets in the way of like, I'm going to be a nationwide company, or and it's not about that. Like it's about do we have good agents there that we can rely on, that we can support also, and that we feel good about knowing that we can commit our time to give them the same experience as the agents get out here.
Yeah, and following the money. What's the hardest part? Is it like getting the agents? Is it getting like the sales manager, sales leader in the office, or is it like having the partners?
Yeah, I think mainly it's about the agents and understanding each market, because I do think every market's different. So our next market that we're moving into is in Arizona. And, we have to understand the dynamics of the way brokerages operate there. So I'll give you an example. San Diego, there's a lot of flat fee brokerages, and that doesn't work for our model.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense because, again, we're givers. So we're given a lot and we want to continue to give.
You can't do it with no
You
money.
can't. And also caps. Some brokerages have caps. And again, same concept. Doesn't really make sense. My partner always says this. It's, you want both sides, both people, agent and brokerage, to be incentivized for each other to do well.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have that understanding, if that's off balance, if one feels it more than the other, it's not a successful partnership or relationship. And so I see that a lot because, we've talked about some of the things that we're doing and that we do, those expenses don't change, they're going to continue to
costs.
come. Exactly. So just because an agent caps out, like we are still going to have those expenses.
Yeah.
So you want it to make sense for everyone. And I think, that's where brokerages, I often see them fail because they'll say, we saw this a ton with like the Sotheby's and Coldwell Banker, where they roll back people's commission splits every year. So, maybe you were a top producer 2 years ago and you were on 90, but now they're going to take you down to 75 because you didn't produce last year and you had a bad year. I have an opposite mindset where it's like, I think I want to bring you in on a split that we are all comfortable with, always. Like, you come in and you say like, hey, I'm comfortable at 85. Like, I feel like what you bring as a brokerage, you deserve 15%. Like, I want to have that, transparent conversation and be okay with that instead of, having those feelings of like, oh, you're not doing your part, so now I'm going to drop you down to 75. Like, I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster. And it, again, so much of what we do is about culture, where like those are the things, those are the reasons why people are leaving brokerages. Like if you take someone from a 90 to a 75, like they're not happy. You're not making them feel good. You're basically saying like you failed and we're going to take more money from you when you do well. So yeah, I think, getting into that and making sure that the partnership is set up in the right way, that's definitely the direction that we go.
Yeah. And I imagine like, kind of like you said, knowing, because for example, you're opening up in like LA, Calabasas, in Phoenix and Nevada. It's like every market operates a little differently.
They're all a little different.
So it's like trying to figure out where do we sit in that market? Like what is our value proposition versus what's in that.
And does our model make sense there too?
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't. Like maybe in Salt Lake City, it doesn't make sense to do all the things that we're doing out here. And, like analyzing that as far as like what cost looks like and what that looks like for the agents and what their expectations are there. Because I think, every agent is coming from a market with different expectations and they're not all the same. And if we approach it that way, then we'll fail. So, yeah.
And one of the hardest things for like brokerages is profitability. It's like one of the things that's talked about all the time is like keeping the brokerage profitable. And just when you think about that as like a business owner, and then you also balance like, okay, we want to separate ourselves. Like, how do you balance a little bit of both? So it's like, we can't go to like the low cost split because then we wouldn't be profitable.
Yeah. It's just, we know our value.
Yeah.
So I think, there are agents out there that join teams for 50-50 splits that, they'll, if the value is there, then it all makes sense. And so we know what our value is. And so when agents ask us for a cap or they ask us for, when they're looking and they want a flat fee brokerage, like that's probably not the right fit because we do offer so much. Your flat fee brokerage is not giving you anything. Yeah. But yeah, it's you made a really great point, which is brokerages historically are not profitable, and even not being a flat fee brokerage, it's still very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And so most brokerages incorporate other businesses to make that make sense. But, that's not our goal. We want to be profitable. Otherwise, like, what is the point? What is the point of the business?
It's like, what's the point of spending all this time building this thing?
Yeah.
That's not even profitable.
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Again, I'll tell you the point. That's ego, and so for us, the focus is bringing on the right people at the right split that makes sense for everyone, and I think again, if you're providing the right service and not that we're in the low of the industry, because I actually think we're very generous for what we do. We're not trying to, like to get crazy.
Yeah.
We want the brokerage to be profitable. But you know, we are making the right decisions for that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you think about where the industry is heading, where brokerages are heading, what do you kind of see where like the brokerage has to move to kind of deal with all of the changes that are happening?
Yeah, I think two things. So like obviously, you know, we've talked about technology quite a bit and even like social media and just like that aspect at this point, no brainer. Like we probably don't even need to talk about that. Like it literally, that already happened. That shift already happened.
Yeah.
And when an agent tells me like, oh, I'm not on social media, I'm like, oh boy, you know, we got a lot to do here. But because, you know, the shift and the way that AI has just like taken the market and I mean, it has made life so much easier. So if you are not embracing that, you're already way, way behind. And we can help, but it's, you have to embrace that because that is happening regardless. It's already happened. And the way it's evolving is so fast that like from 1 month to the next,
It's
things
changing.
change. Yeah. So that's super important. And then the other piece is the change that we're seeing with the way listings are being fed to the market. You know, a big part of me just feels like a lot of this is just Compass trying to get attention. But also, there are things shifting because of it. And, you know, even our MLS recently, I think yesterday, sent out a survey, like, how do you feel like your listing should be showcased? Should you be able to market your properties off market? And so I do think that we are about to see a significant change there on the way that we're marketing our properties. But I think it's all really positive. Like I have said since my Zillow days, like that the MLS is really an antiquated system that it shouldn't be easier for an agent to shop for properties on Zillow than the MLS. So there needs to be some revamps there. So we'll see where that goes, but I do see that changing. And I think going back to my first point, it's going to be more important than ever for the agents to embrace technology because it's not just going to be the MLS anymore that they need to put their listing into. Like you've got to get in front of many, many people. And so embracing the technology that's going to get you there is mandatory.
Yeah. And is there like, maybe it's like standard for you, but it might be different for others, like how you're using AI or implementing it?
Yeah, I mean, I think our social media assistant is like, I mean, that's literally AI that is now, I mean, you can feed information directly into it. Like I want all the events in Corona Del Mar, create me a post for the month of July. And like, it's literally going to put together a video and search all of social media, search everywhere to like compile this information that like, you can't do that in ChatGPT, you know? So just, you know, using all of the tools and resources that, that you have, it's crazy. I mean, the uploading 5 photos, that's all AI, you know, and creating a listing video for your seller, you know, in literally 5 minutes. I mean, you can do that while you're with your seller at a listing presentation. Take some photos yourself as you're walking through, upload them, and then show them the video you created on the spot. Like, hey, here's a sneak peek of what I'm going to do, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So I think it's no longer, the no-brainers are like organizing your day, using your ChatGPT as an assistant. Emails, I feel like that is a huge one where I used to spend so much time on my follow-up emails after the fact, after I meet with a buyer and I need to do a CMA breakdown for them. Like now I'm still looking at them. It still needs my touch. But ChatGPT can organize that for me. And what used to take me maybe an hour and a half takes me 15 minutes to put together. So those things
nice.
are like non-negotiables. Yeah.
Yeah, it scales.
Yeah.
Helps scale time quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you were at a call center at 16, and then you applied for a team lead at 17, and then you're promoted before you're 18. And you look at that, and then moving to California alone, no connections. Like, how do you think that kind of shaped you and who you became?
Yeah, it's interesting. I recently shared my story with people and they were like, I think you need to write a book. But yeah, so at a really, really young age, I was like fiercely independent. And so I moved out very young because again, I was independent. Like not everyone has these crazy stories like, oh, I did all these things. I got kicked out. I literally like got a dog, and that's why I got kicked out of my house, because I got a dog and my mom was like, either you go or, like basically like you could go with your dog, but this dog isn't staying here. And I was like, bye. And I left. So I was like living out of my car. Like I figured it out, like bouncing from friends' houses. But anyway, so I was very stubborn. I was very independent, and I started making money in sales very young. And so I think that fueled that even more. But as soon as I was able to work, I wanted to work. So at 15, I was like, getting my hands dirty, like wherever I could, because I knew that, making money would help me with that freedom and independence. And it did. And it really did kind of shape who I was today. I think who I am today. I was really, really lucky that at 16, like I was reading leadership books, like Who Moved My Cheese? And like, I was like thrust into this world where, I was surrounded by adults that were like further in their career. And so I started like ditching football games. Like I was like ditching school to basically go work, because that was really where I was soaking it all in. So I think, I always kind of had that entrepreneurial spirit, but I think that honed in on my people skills, and I was able to implement those skills very, very young. And then I just continued to kind of follow that path. And I started my own business at 20, so it was, it really did shape who I was, who I am. I keep saying who I was. I'm still here. I'm a person. It really did shape who I am today. And, I feel I sacrificed on some of the like fun childhood things, but living my best life now, and here I am, and I'm still a crazy dog lover. So I would still make that decision to keep the dog, but yeah.
That's awesome, because I feel like sales kind of puts you around the environment that you have to have a growth mindset in sales, especially if you're going into like a team lead. You start to have to learn leadership a lot early. And it kind of like forces that growth, especially if you start at a young age.
I had people on my team. I mean, I was 17, and I remember the manager saying to me, like my manager at the time being like, hey, I want to give you this position. I think you'll be really great. But how are you going to manage Lo Ling, who is 62 years old? Like, how do you feel? You are 17. How do you feel you're going to do? And I told him I'm going to treat her the same way I would treat anyone else. Like the age doesn't matter to me at all. I think, I'm going to have their respect because of what I give to them and what I do and my value, so those things haven't changed. It doesn't matter how old you are or young now. Now I feel most are younger, but yeah.
Yeah. And I'm curious because that taught you independence at a young age. And some of your agents I saw like call you mama. Do you feel like there's like a little correlation there? It's like you want to like help them get some type of freedom as well.
I mean, I think like I am pretty motherly in general because I am a giver. So I think that comes naturally. I think it doesn't matter where an agent is in their career. I want to see them grow, and I want to give them that same freedom, and financial independence that I saw at a really young age, but that it doesn't matter what age they are. I think it's something that I know really set me up to be where I am now. And, I would love to see that for anyone on my team.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious because everyone always sees people like kind of, I don't want to say at the finish line because it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
But they can see like your website, they can look at the numbers, they can look at like you now, but they don't always see the journey of what it took to get there.
Yeah.
Which is, I imagine, a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
You've had times where you said like you cried and there's been low points. Can you talk to maybe one specific moment that might share to someone else who might go through that as well?
Yeah. I mean, so for me, I moved out here. I think a really good example, I moved out here in 2011 to Orange County. And I had a business, a marketing company in Arizona. And it was literally killing me. Like I was the only person in the company not making money because again, I'm about everybody else. And so, every few weeks it was like struggling to make payroll and, make sure that everyone else is taken care of. I was the one working the hardest, and I walked away from it. So in 2011, I decided to get back into the mortgage industry. I had left during the crash, and a friend of mine was out here in Orange County, and he was like, "Hey, I think it's time to get back into the industry. I have all the connections. Like I'm going to open a branch, but I can't do it without you. I want to open it with you." And so I walked away from everything I built and left it with, my previous partner and started over, completely started over, moved out here and realized quickly that I wasn't going to get back into the mortgage business with my friend. And that's actually what took me on the path to Trulia. So I ended up doing marketing for Trulia, and then Zillow acquired Trulia, which brought me to Zillow. Okay. So, but I would have never even entered the space had I not had that failed business that was sucking the life out of me. And picked up and moved to Orange County to, open a mortgage branch with my old business partner that I was in the mortgage industry with prior to that. And, said, hey, this actually doesn't look like it's what I want to do. I'm going to go this direction for a little bit. And then slowly led me into the world of real estate. And, here I am. So everything that happened got me to this point. And we talked about it earlier in Orange County of all places, where it's like, I was living in Arizona and I was happy. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I came to Orange County and I'm like, oh my God, why was I in Arizona? It's too hot. So, it completely changed my life. And I'm really, really grateful for that struggle because it did teach me so much. And again, I mean, I think any business owner will tell you if it's all success, it's a lie, almost every successful business owner that I know now has had a failed business. Are open about it because you learn so much about what you should, shouldn't, couldn't, wouldn't, whatever, shouldn't have done in that situation and won't do again.
Yeah. It's kind of like the famous Steve Jobs quote of like, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards.
Yeah.
It's like started out in sales, got into marketing, then Zillow, brokerage, and obviously there's probably other pieces in between, but they all kind of like interconnected at this point a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you were to talk to your younger self and think about everything that you've learned, what does world-class leadership mean to you?
Well, for me, I think a leader is someone that is going to lead by example, that's going to lead with ethics, and that has a heart. I feel like so often leaders in general, I think there's a certain personality type that attracts leaders. And we've talked about it a lot because I keep touching on ego. But I think there is a certain personality type that typically rises to the top. And, ironically, I did a personality test when I was at Zillow. It was oh my gosh, which one was it? It wasn't DISC, but it was the color one. Insights. And I was the only person in the entire organization that had the color combo that I had, which was really interesting. We can talk about it another time. But basically, there were only 4 colors. And I was the only person in the organization with those colors. So I guess my point is, I think I come from a different perspective. I come from, a humble beginning. I didn't grow up with money. I lived out of my car. Like I've done all the things, and I've still been very successful, and I'm very blessed, and I live an amazing life. And but I didn't forget any of that, and I think, it's really, really important for a leader to have that connection with reality. And so, I think, that is the biggest difference, where you're usually seeing at the top in leadership often egocentric, a personality type that is very about them. And I think a good leader doesn't make anything about them and makes it about their people. So
there's kind of like the Steve Jobs era of leaders who kind of like bulldoze their way a little bit. But then I saw that, I think it was your father who said he taught you to be kind, not nice.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's like, again, just leading from the heart, I feel you have to understand also, when you have this personality type, what your limits are. So I think that that's really, really important. As far as people will take advantage of someone that is, with giving nature.
Yeah.
And so really recognizing that is super important, but still understanding and keeping a pulse on, the people that deserve it. And making sure that you're connected, again, to your people, not just a number, but as human beings.